all unauthorized persons to exit the chamber. All unauthorized persons, please exit the chamber. Senator from the 28th. Good morning, sir. Do you have a report for us?
Good morning, Mr. President. You look a little different today. Much younger and spry.
I'll take it.
You should. Mr. President, on this day in Georgia history, in 1766, the Stamp Act was repealed. Because of the firm leadership of Governor James Wright, Georgia was the only colony that officially used the dreaded stamps, earning disdain among her sister colonies. Bet you didn't know that. I bet you also didn't know today is National Sloppy Joe Day.
Did not, Senator.
I hope you will provide lunch for everyone today, and it be Sloppy Joes. Mr. President, we got a great lineup of pages today. And I want to say the senator from the 8th has been doing his job and promoting this great program because about half his district is here today. But leading out of Cedartown, we have Holden Thomas. Out of Thompson, we have Windsor Smith. Out of Dunwoody, we have Elizabeth Becerra. We got a long list out of Homerville. We have Amelia Cox. We have the senator's very own son, Alexander Goodman, also out of Homerville. We have Kylie Hatton. We have Kelby Hendricks. We have Jasmine Johns, Micah Joyce, Eliza Nipper, Jaylee Pearson, J.D. Smith, Jocelyn Thomas, which is in nearby DuPont. Out of Atlanta, we have Cashmere Favors. Turn my page here. Out of Madison, we have Eloise Carlson, who is also the daughter of our DCH commissioner, Russ Carlson. Out of Peachtree City, we have Hayden Gentry. Out of Jefferson, we have Lucia Bell Guevara. It's Guevara. Out of Jasper, we have Ryden Lee. Out of Dawsonville, we have brother and sister Luke and Nora Oliver. Out of Fayetteville, we have Gabrielle Rogers. Out of Buckhead, we have Miley Stewart. Out of Fayetteville, Jemiah Thompson. Out of Alpharetta, Joy Yang. From McDonough, Avery Hibbets. And also from McDonough, Avery Keel. And out of Atlanta, we have Ralph Long. Y'all give our pages a big round of applause. We appreciate y'all joining us today. Look forward to working with you to do the great business of the Senate. Mr. President, this journal has been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator from the 28th. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? And the chair hears none, and the reading of the journal is dispensed with. I want to say a warm welcome to all of our pages. Thank you for being here. We look forward to visiting with y'all and interacting with y'all during the course of today. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills or resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the secretary's desk. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. The secretary will read reports of standing committees. Nope, excuse me.
Senate Bill 583 by Senator Estevez of the 6th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for an operation of automated transit vehicle lane monitoring devices.
Slow go, General.
Senate Bill 584 by Senator Jones of the 10th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for new homestead exemptions from City of Stockbridge ad valorem taxes from
Slow go.
Senate Resolution 793 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending Wanique.
Rules.
Senate Resolution 802 by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others, a resolution urging the state of Georgia to support Vince Dooley.
And rules.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Public Safety has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Resolution 751 do pass, House Bill 1105 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Albers of the 56th Chairman. Additionally, dear Mr. Secretary, pursuant to Senate Rule 2-1.6, I hereby give notice that I will introduce a minority report to be read along with the majority report of House Bill 1105, which Public Safety passed out on Thursday, March 14, 2024. Respectfully submitted, Senator Jackson of the 41st District. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1046 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1312 do pass by substitute, House Bill 904 do pass by substitute, House Bill 844 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1294 do pass, House Bill 73 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations has had under consideration the following legislation. It has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 571 do pass, Senate Bill 572 do pass, Senate Bill 573 do pass, Senate Bill 574 do pass, Senate Bill 577 do pass, House Bill 774 do pass by substitute, House Bill 1280 do pass, House Bill 1298 do pass, House Bill 1372 do pass, House Bill 1373 do pass, House Bill 1400 do pass, House Bill 1401 do pass, House Bill 1411 do pass, House Bill 1412 do pass, House Bill 1442 do pass, House Bill 1445 do pass, House Bill 1449 do pass, House Bill 1422 do pass, House Bill 1423 do pass, House Bill 1441 do pass, and House Bill 1455 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Ginn of the 47th District Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on State and Local Government Relations General has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that House Bill 1073 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Ginn of the 47th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Secretary will now read bills and resolutions for a second time.
Senate Resolution 658 by Senator Anderson of the 43rd and others, Minority Health Month, recognize April. Senate Resolution 751 by Senator Watson of the 11th and others, Senate Disaster Mitigation and Resilience Study Committee, carried. Senate Resolution 774 by Senator Orrick of the 36th, J.D. Winston Memorial Intersection, Fulton County, dedicate. House Bill 73 by Representative Gullett of the 19th and others, Public Utilities Written Disclosure Statement with any agreement for sale or financing of distributed energy generation systems provisions. House Bill 215 by Representative Powell of the 33rd and others, Professions and Businesses, Licensure of Advanced Practice Registered Nurses provisions. House Bill 663 by Representative Hatchett of the 155th and others, No Patient Left Alone Act, enact. House Bill 844 by Representative Earhart of the 36th and others, Practice of Nutrition and Dietetics Act, enact. House Bill 904 by Representative Vance of the 133rd and others, Professions and Businesses, Contractors, change certain provisions. House Bill 927 by Representative Hagan of the 156 and others, Game and Fish, Fluorescent Pink Hunting Outer Garments, authorize. House Bill 935 by Representative Vance of 133rd and others, Motor Vehicles, Standard for a Conviction through the Use of Speed Devices, provide. House Bill 971 by Representative Newton of the 127th and others, Firearm Safety Handling and Secure Storage Tax Credit Act, enact. House Bill 984 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th and others, Insurance Department of, Office of the Safety Fire Commissioner, update practices. House Bill 1015 by Representative McDonald of the 26th and others, Income Tax, Reduced Rate of Tax. House Bill 1018 by Representative Ridley of the 6th and others, Georgia Firearm Industry Non-Discrimination Act, enact. House Bill 1023 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others, Income Tax, Max Tax Rate imposed on corporations to that imposed on individual taxpayers. House Bill 1034 by Representative Franklin of the 160th and others, State Holidays, 4th holiday in November as National Sugarcane Syrup Day designate. House Bill 1040 by Representative Hilton of the 48th and others, Mortgage lenders and brokers prohibit unfair or deceptive practices in consumer transactions related to mortgage trader leads. House Bill 1046 by Representative Clark of the 100th and others, Health Advanced Practice Registered Nurses and Physician Assistants to order home and healthcare services authorized. House Bill 1048 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th and others, State symbols, cornbread as the official state bread designate. House Bill 1049 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others, Insurance Business Transfer Act, enact. House Bill 1053 by Representative Barrett of the 24th and others, State government prohibit governmental agencies from using central bank digital currency as payment. House Bill 1073 by Representative Washburn of the 144th and others, local government zoning, repeal additional hearing and notice provisions regarding halfway houses, drug rehabilitation centers, or other facilities for treatment of drug dependency. House Bill 1105 by Representative Petrie of the 166th and others, the Georgia Criminal Alien Track and Report Act of 2024 enact. House Bill 1114 by Representative Wade of the 9th and others, Data Analysis for Tort Reform Act enact. House Bill 1125 by Representative Cooper of the 45th and others, Labor and Industrial Relations phase out payment of sub-minimum wage to persons with disabilities. House Bill 1138 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Invest Georgia Fund, provide additional factor that the fund administrator shall consider in the selection of venture capital funds. House Bill 1274 by Representative Hoseley of the 72nd and others, State Veterinary Education Student Loan Forgiveness Program, provide limits. House Bill 1294 by Representative Perkle of the 169th and others, Georgia Environmental Finance Authority, finance and reform certain duties for projects relating to natural gas facilities authorized. House Bill 1312 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th and others, Agriculture Department of Regulation and Taxation of Electricity used as motor fuel and electric vehicle charging stations, extend effective date of provisions. House Bill 1341 by Representative Saines of the 180th and others, State symbols, white shrimp as official state crustacean designate. House Bill 1410 by Representative Administration of the 104th and others, State Housing Trust Fund for the Homeless Act enact. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, it's now time for the morning roll call. Morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, y'all. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 38th for business outside the Capitol, and also 41, 10, and while I'm at it, I just want everybody to recognize that the senator from the 37th has a birthday today.
All right. Thank you, Senator. The senator from the 38th, the 41st, and the 10th will be excused without objection. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st.
Good morning, Mr. President. Just want to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 32nd for business inside the Capitol.
The senator from the 32nd is excused without objection. Chair recognizes the senator from the 9th.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 12th. Did we get Freddie up here?
Without objection, the senator from the 12th is excused. Are there any other motions to excuse? All right. The chair hears none. The secretary will call the roll of senators. It is now time. Please signify your presence by voting the yay switch. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Chair recognizes the senator from the 9th. I missed you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. President, I had one more. Unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 2nd.
Without objection, the senator from the 2nd is excused. Any other motions to excuse? Any others? All right, the secretary will call the roll of senators. Please signify your presence by voting the yay switch. The secretary will now unlock the machine. I'm sorry, senator from the, yes, 50th.
Unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 18th.
That may apply, I don't know. Thanks. We'll see how the morning goes. Thanks. All right, Mr. Secretary, unlock the machine.
Quick photo with Caroline Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease all audible conversation. Doorkeepers, please secure the chamber at this time. It is my pleasure to recognize the distinguished senator from the 37th District to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and to also introduce our chaplain of the day.
Following the pledge, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
now to the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance
To the Georgia flag, the principles on which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage.
It is a pleasure to present to you today the chaplain of the day, who is no stranger to this chamber. Dr. Ron Bagalki, many of us know, was appointed as the official chaplain of the Senate just a few years ago, but has been here at the Georgia Capitol for 15 years. I won't indulge in a long introduction other than to say that Dr. Bagalki holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Biblical Studies from Moody Bible Institute in Chicago and a Master of Apologetics from Columbia Evangelical Seminary. More importantly, he's been the state leader for the Capitol Commission, an organization that's committed to ministry to not just electeds, but also staffers in our state capitals around the nation. And he's been a great fixture here and been a ministering, caring voice for many, not just us members, but also staffers during session and year-round. With that, it's my deep pleasure to introduce you, Dr. Ron Bagalki.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve, Senator Setzler. And Senator Setzler has been a good friend over the years. It was back in 2010. I don't know if he remembers. That's how we actually met. I had a Bible study invitation, and then Representative Setzler was one of 12 Democrat Republicans who let me list their name on that invitation and give me immediate credibility. So thank you again for the opportunity to share. And Mr. President and members of the Senate, give me a few moments of your time. I'm going to share with you from Nehemiah. Chapter 4, earlier this year, Associated Press, they reported how a amputee athlete from Arizona set an official or unofficial world record running 102 marathons in 102 days, even running 2 more for good measure. So this lady was 46 years old, Jackie Hunt Broersma, 46 years old, and ran the 104 marathons despite losing her left leg to a rare cancer. And she did it running on a carbon fiber prosthesis. Most people rest after a marathon, and she did not do that. 104 marathons in 104 days. Reminds you of the character, the Forrest Gump character, who after running nonstop for more than 3 years, declared to his fathers, "I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now." You may feel like that right now at this moment. Well, if you are familiar with the book of Nehemiah, you know it contains many great examples for leaders and wonderful lessons in prayer. The main character of the book of Nehemiah is God, and then Nehemiah, who the Lord used to accomplish his sovereign intent. Nehemiah, he was not a priest, he was not a prophet, but he did serve the Persian king who allowed him permission to lead a group of Jews from exile to Jerusalem to repair the city walls. And the book of Nehemiah just reveals the impact that one individual can have. God uses all manner of different people in a variety of contexts, which means the Lord has designated your current role for a purpose. Therefore, as Colossians 3 and verse 17 instructs, whatever you do, in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father. One of the lessons of Nehemiah is not to forgo the accomplishment of a goal. Nehemiah could have responded with disappointment and discouragement to his goal because the project it began with enthusiasm. And in chapter 4, the work was being ridiculed. It seemed impossible to complete the work. And so verse 6 records how the people built the wall and the whole wall was joined together to half its height. So they're at the halfway point, and now the goal just seemed unattainable. And the people, they needed to regain their steadfastness and vision. Discouragement while seeking to accomplish a good work is not uncommon. The temptation to quit can arise because of challenges in marriage, of ministry, work, or just life difficulties. And so Nehemiah provides us with lessons in perseverance, and the first is to overcome the discouragement. Don't ignore it. Life's not easy, especially when you are attempting to do something of value, and even more so when you're attempting to do that in light of eternity. And so as difficulties arise, so do the critics, and eventually your resolve is tested. And emotions blur your vision, and you can even begin to question God. And so verse 10 says the strength of the burden bearers is failing. If there's much rubbish, so much to do, in other words, so much to accomplish, and the response was, we just feel like we're unable to do that. You ever felt that way? Do you feel that way now? The people in Judah, they felt the influence of their enemies. Wherever they turned, there they were. And Nehemiah had to overcome the discouragement. Essentially, he told the people, we're struck down but not destroyed. Remember that our God is great and all-powerful. He will fight for us. So what were the reasons for discouragement? They needed a renewal of energy. You know, I've never run a marathon. I do exercise regularly in a happy medium between jogging and running, and I have several inclines in my exercise routine. Some are very steep, and those especially can be challenging. Your muscles are fatigued, they're strained, the cardio is intense, and I just want to say enough, no more. But I keep going. I resolve to persevere, never with regret. And so what's true in exercise or running a marathon is the same in marriage, ministry, life, session, and work. If we determine to do anything of permanence, there's going to be discouragement. There's going to be critics, and we have to overcome doubt. You have to determine to persevere. And the first obstacle is going to be fatigue. According to verse 10 of chapter 4, the people's strength that was failing, they began with a lot of energy. At the halfway point, though, they're saying the work is just, it's too much and the task was too difficult. And even in chapter 2, Nehemiah, he surveyed the work to be done, and it was a bad situation. The people worked diligently, but their energy was expended. So remember when you're feeling overwhelmed. Fatigue may be the reason. And what do? You need to refocus, rest, because exhaustion, it can be an enemy. Serving the Lord it can be tiring. It's rewarding, but sometimes it can be tiring. And so you can just read about that in Paul's words at the end of 2 Corinthians chapter 11. But understand, leaving a legacy, that's what we all want to do, right? Leave a legacy. That requires diligent, focused work. So rest and refocus so you're able to do well when the burden is either manageable or intense, and when our bodies are exhausted, recognize it's going to affect our ability to think accurately, to be resolved in mind or will. And so remember then the words that Jesus said to his disciples in Mark's gospel. Come away by yourselves to a secluded place and rest a while. Let us do that at this moment with a word of prayer. Lord God, when experiencing difficulty and reproach, help your people, help our senators to respond as Nehemiah did when he said a great work is being accomplished, and we cannot be distracted or allow ourselves to become discouraged. The Apostle Paul said he would boast in his weakness because your grace is sufficient. So for our senators, I pray for each of them to know the surpassing greatness of your power. Grant them times of rest and refocus as needed to fulfill their responsibilities in this session well. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, I do pray. Amen. Thank you.
Let me have your attention. We're now going to have the introduction of the Doctor of the Day, and it's my pleasure to recognize the distinguished senator from the 49th to introduce the Doctor of the Day that she has brought for us. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I have Dr. Catherine West. Dr. West received her Bachelor of Arts in Neuroscience from Dartmouth College. She then completed a Master's in Science at Georgetown University before attending Emory University School of Medicine, where she graduated summa cum laude. She completed her emergency medicine residency at Carolinas Medical Center, serving as chief resident in her final year. After residency, she joined the faculty at Carolinas Medical Center for 3 years before moving back to Georgia in 2019 to serve as the Associate Program Director of the Emergency Medicine Residency at Northeast Georgia Medical Center. Dr. West enjoys taking care of members of her community and feels honored to be able to serve a diverse patient population every day. She believes that prioritizing education further advances the quality and availability of care in her community and is excited to help establish a new emergency medicine residency program. Her academic interests include education, simulation, and ultrasound. In her free time, Dr. West enjoys spending time outdoors with her family. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Catherine West.
Hello all, I'm Catherine West. I'm an emergency medicine physician. Thank you. I'm happy to be here today. I'm very grateful for everything that you guys do. I think the past few years have taught me that the emergency department is not a silo, that we can't operate alone, and we need the help of our community to be able to, guarantee access to health care for our community. So I appreciate you guys working with us and all that you do for our community. Thanks.
We've got our young men from Harlem High School here, state champion baseball team this year, and they've got a coach, been doing this for 44 years, is that right, Coach? 46. 46 years, all right. So, Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 540 by Senator Anderson of the 24th and others. A resolution congratulating the Harlem High School Bulldogs baseball team for winning the 2023 GHSA Class AAA State Baseball Championship and for other purposes. Whereas the Harlem High School Bulldogs baseball team has established and maintained a proud tradition of excellence with equal emphasis on character and academics. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body congratulate the Harlem High School Bulldogs baseball team for winning the 2023 GHSA Class AAA State Baseball Championship and extend best wishes for their continued success. Additionally, Senate Resolution 541 by Senator Anderson of the 24th.
Is there objection to the adoption of resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 24th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great honor today to present someone back home, a team, Harlem High School baseball team champion in of 2023 and the coach, Jimmy Lewis. He's been there his whole life. Great man. But at this time, I want to introduce the baseball team in the gallery. I would like for them to stand up. Let's give them a hand. Go Dogs. But at this time, I'm going to ask the head coach, Jimmy Lewis, to come say a word or two and let him recognize who he has with him today.
Appreciate it, Senator Anderson. We have the baseball team, and I have my assistant coaches who are the brains of the whole outfit. I have Chris Waters behind me. I have Rusty James up in the gallery. I have Hunter McBride in the gallery. Lonnie Morris was unable to be here, but these guys do all the work. My job is to kind of like, well, keep the bus between the ditches, but their job is to coach the team, and they do a great job. I have 3 seniors from last year. I have Emery Burnett, raise your hand, Landon Lewis, and Braden Prince. They were 3 last year on the 2023 state championship team. The kids were a great bunch to coach. They did a great job, good team attitude, and worked real hard. This team I have with me today was on the team last year. This year right now, they're 16-0, and they're playing pretty good. So as long as we keep working and have a good attitude, we'll keep doing well. But I appreciate it. It's a great honor that Senator Anderson has bestowed upon us. We thank y'all. Got 2 things to say. We are Harlem. Go Dogs.
Senators, I want to just show you how you're really supposed to do it. So don't come up here with a little cheap folder anymore.
Hey, we're going to read that. The senator from the 24th, he, as we said here, Coach has been doing this for 46 years, and he's got his whole family over here to the right, and he wanted to make this a special presentation. So, Secretary, read the other caption we have for today.
Senate Resolution 541 by Senator Anderson of the 24th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending Jimmy Lewis and for other purposes. Whereas over his exemplary 45-year-long tenure, he has won 860 games, including 6 state titles and 17 region championships, the 3rd most victories in GHSA history. And whereas this distinguished gentleman has given inspiration to many through his high ideals, morals, and deep concern for his fellow citizens. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend Jimmy Lewis for his many years of dedicated, effective, and efficient service to the youth of this state, as well as extend best wishes for continued success. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Senator?
Dear Senators, this is a very special moment for me because I have a dear friend behind me that's been in our community the whole time I've been in the community. We grew up together, and this gentleman behind me has touched so many young men's lives over the years. He is truly a friend. He's truly a community leader, and he also is a loving father and family man. Just this Sunday, he was an usher at his church, and we have a dear friend in the gallery that was ushering with him, and he said, Coach Lewis looked over to Mike Grimes and said, you know I've touched a lot of young men's lives in my life, but he said, I worry sometimes I took so much time away from my own family. But today, y'all, I surprised him with his family that's right over here in the corner. He had no clue that his family was going to be here. But I'd love for y'all to give them a hand, a clapping hand. I give you my friend, Jimmy Lewis. Lewis say something about you.
Well, this is a big shock. I'm trying to fight back tears. I'm 39 years old. I'm not supposed to be emotional like this. Maybe a little more than 39, but it's a total shock. I didn't realize you didn't tell me about this, Nancy. But this is my wife, Nancy Lewis, right here, and my son, Russ Lewis, with his wife, Amber, my son, Randy Lewis, and my other son, Rob Lewis. This is great to share this with y'all. You've been behind me. Nancy's been behind me 860-something games, and she's there all the time, and she tells me when we don't win, what I did wrong, but that's good too. But I appreciate this, Senator Anderson. This is a total shock. You pulled one on me. And I got my brother-in-law, Steve Camp, my sister-in-law, Susan Camp, one of my best buddies who I coach both of them, Mike Grimes and his wife, Debbie. And this is great for y'all to be here. It's great for us all to celebrate this together. All of y'all was part of it, and all of y'all was part of it. So it's good to celebrate together. Thank y'all very much. And Lee, I'm going to get you for this.
He ranks number 23 in the nation.
All right, sounds good. All right, we've got a good gentleman back here. Continue with the theme of coaches here today. So, Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 674 by Senator Jones of the 10th and others, a resolution recognizing and honoring the legacy and history of the 1955 Cannon Street YMCA All-Stars and for other purposes. Whereas in the summer of 1955, the state of South Carolina boasted 62 chartered Little League programs, and whereas the Cannon Street YMCA Little League stood as the first and only African-American Little League in South Carolina, officially sanctioned by Little League Baseball Incorporated. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and honor the legacy of the 1955 Cannon Street YMCA All-Stars and their importance to the cultural landscape of the state of South Carolina. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All right, is there objection to the resolution? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. Recognize Senator from the 10th, speak to the resolution. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I am very excited today to have with me 4 of the original members of the 1955 Cannon All-Star team from South Carolina. It's a Little League team, and there's a story here that really needs to be told. And I understand from these distinguished gentlemen back here that there's some members up in the balcony that's here to represent the Cannon Street All-Stars as well. If you will, please stand. You see, this team is an amazing team, and at this time, I'm going to invite my friend, John Rivers, to come and kind of share with you the story, some of what this team had to endure and how they became that legendary status that they are today. John, would you please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator. Good morning, everybody. We appreciate this opportunity to be honored, and it's very special for us. I have with me my team members, Buck Godfrey, who was mentioned as a legendary coach in the Metro Atlanta area from DeKalb, Southwest DeKalb High School. Spent close to 35, 40 years coaching. It's 30 years. Oh, okay, 30 years. Won a couple championships and always in the playoff. Buck was our catcher, pitcher, third baseman. He played a lot of positions. He was a utility. And he could hit the ball very well. We've got David Middleton, who played second base, a slugger. I think he gave Buck a good challenge with hitting the ball. And we have the honorary, our honorary historian brother representing Augustus Holt. Augustus Holt is a gentleman in Charleston that unearthed our story after many years. He went into the archives and brought our story to light. We're here now because of Augustus Holt. This is his brother, Lamar Holt, and Lamar is representing our deceased historian. As was mentioned, this is a very unique story, a very special story, and at the time, a very painful story. And we're still recovering from it, believe it or not. We were kids. There's trauma whenever you want to play sports, and we practice and we got to be our best at it, and we look forward to the opportunity to play, and we were denied the opportunity to play. As mentioned, there were 62 charters by Little League in the state of South Carolina. We were the only African-American, all African-American team that held a charter. That charter entitled us to participate in the playoff systems, just like all of the other teams. However, there was Jim Crow and segregation. And if they had allowed us to play, we would have basically got rid of segregation in sports. Therefore, the resistance came when our coaches in year 55 decided that we were ready and we were able, and it was right after Brown v. Board passed in the Supreme Court, and we were ready to step up and show our skills, and we thought that we could win and go all the way to Williamsport. Of course, the local teams refused to play us because of segregation and Jim Crow. So we won that by default. They didn't play, we became the district champs. The next stop would be the state championship, which was held in Greenville, South Carolina that year. We were eligible to go there, and of course they heard we were coming, and Greenville at the state level decided to boycott play. They pulled out of the playoff system. First time in the history, by the way, of Little League Baseball. But we won that by default too, so we were state champs. The next stop would have been Rome, Georgia in the regional playoffs. And if you win in the regional, you're eligible to go to Williamsport and compete for the World Series. Well, Rome, Georgia decided that they would not just overtly refuse to seat us. They found a rule in the books that said that a team to be seated in Rome had to play their way to the playoffs. Well, obviously we couldn't because nobody would play us. So Little League Incorporated was very unhappy with that up in Williamsport, and they said, we're going to have them come in spite of that. They're the state champs by default. But we could not play because the rule in the book did say that you have to play your way to Williamsport. We went up to Williamsport on a school bus, 600, 700 miles, and we experienced everything that the teams that were there to play in competition did. We slept in the same dormitories where they stayed. There were about 20 teams there. And we were treated like celebrities, but we didn't care. We wanted to play. All that stuff meant nothing. We just wanted to play ball. The only thing that happened that gave us some semblance of touching the ball and throwing it, on championship day, they allowed us to take the field and warm up. And during that period of warming up on the diamond, the fans started chanting, "Let them play, let them play." But of course, if we weren't going to play, we had to take our seats after that warm-up. And we were all very sad, of course, because all we wanted to do was play ball. Of course, in our minds, and we still believe it, what we saw that day on the field, we would have whipped them all. That's the overview of the story. We appreciate you all giving us this award and the opportunity to present our story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
We've got a group of young ladies here, our reigning volleyball champions from North Cobb here, so North Cobb High School. Secretary, read the caption, please.
Senate Resolution 758 by Senator Setzler of the 37th, a resolution recognizing and commending the North Cobb High School Lady Warriors volleyball team for winning the 2023 Class 7A GHSA State Championship and for other purposes. Whereas through perseverance, countless hours of practice, and unyielding determination, the North Cobb High School Lady Warriors volleyball team earned the top ranking with their victory at the 2023 Class 7A GHSA State Championship. And whereas the superlative team has completed another triumphant season of competition by posting an outstanding record of 42 wins and only 9 losses. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body recognize and commend the North Cobb High School Lady Warriors volleyball team for winning the 2023 Class 7A GHSA State Championship. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 37th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, it's a pleasure today to present to you the 7A state volleyball champions from North Cobb High School. I will tell you, when I've seen my kids play volleyball, as a volleyball dad for a while, I fancied myself as quite a volleyball player myself until you see these ladies play. And they could completely spike on me and do whatever they wanted. It's to the level of play we see in our schools is really impressive. And it's an honor to represent the community of Ackworth, Kennesaw, and North Cobb High School. North Cobb has been known over the years, reputedly, to be a football school. It's been named as one of the elite football schools in the state, but I can tell you unequivocally, after having won the state championship in 2014 and again in 2023, North Cobb High School is a ladies' volleyball school. And we had a little dispute out front about which four of these young ladies was going to get to present and speak to the Senate. So to resolve that dispute, I'm going to recognize Coach Stephen Sansing to make the presentation today. But again, I'd love to, after the words from our coach, after a great season and candidly one of the most entertaining championship games I've ever seen, I'd like to give them a big state Senate welcome. Coach Sansing.
All right, thank you all for having us. I'd like to have the rest of our volleyball team stand up and be recognized. The whole team's here today. We had a tremendous season. The girls worked really hard. We basically go year round, and starting with tryouts last May, summer workouts, practices every day, club season, just everything that these girls have put into it. But I want to recognize the four seniors I have here behind me. We have our setter, Annabelle Gordon. We have our, one of our middles, Tatomi Adenka, our right side hitter, Amani Mensah, and then our outside hitter, Nicole Antova, who was named the 7A State Player of the Year. I also want to recognize our other all-state players that are in the balcony. Sarah Boyle, outside hitter, stand up. Okay. Olivia Boyle, our setter, right side, also both juniors, all-state. Karis Sanabria, our all-state middle. And then our sophomore libero, Hannah Nicholson. So all five were named All-State this season. And so we just are really proud of them. We defeated Walton in the state championship in a 4-set battle. We had lost to them in the region championship, and so we got revenge on them. And we were able to basically just close the deal on that state championship by beating Walton in the final. So it was really exciting, and we were just really grateful to do that. Thank you again for having us here today. We're very honored. Thank you, Senator Setzler, and thank you, everybody else. Appreciate it.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 611 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and others, a resolution recognizing and commending the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts upon its 100th anniversary and for other purposes. Whereas the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts was created by an act of the Georgia General Assembly on December 6, 1923, to ensure the protection and proper use of stores, equipment, and property of the state through annual financial audits of every department, institution, agency, commission, bureau, and officer of the state. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the centennial anniversary of the Department of Audits and Accounts is hereby recognized, and the department is honored for a century of invaluable service, dedication, and commitment to the principles of accountability, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Recognize the senator from the 29th to speak to the measure.
Colleagues, I've sat in my seat for 6 years, and this is the very first time I've done a special presentation. And many times I've sat in my seat and watched people being recognized for winning national championships, for winning regional championships, and all of those exciting things. But what excites me is good government. And when I became chair of the retirement committee in my second term, I found out where the heavy lifting comes from. Myself and the senator from the 20th found this invaluable resource in audits and accounts. It doesn't sound exciting, but I promise you that every taxpayer in the state of Georgia depends on us to do the good job, and we could not do the job without this incredible group of men and women. And now I would like to ask Greg Griffin if he would stand up and introduce us, or if he'd step up and introduce us to his great team. Mr. Griffin.
Good morning, and thank you, Senator Robertson, for those kind words and remarks, and to all the members in this distinguished body for inviting us today to be here with you. We are truly grateful for your continued support over the years. And it's a privilege for me to accept this resolution on behalf of the Department of Audits as we celebrate our 100-year service anniversary. And today actually culminates our celebrations for the year, so thank you very much. This milestone is a testament to the hard work, the dedication, and the commitment of all the past and present employees in our department. And standing with me here today are a few of our senior members of the team who represent many of the individuals responsible who work hard every day for you to provide you with the requested information that you need and use during each and every session, either prior to or during the session, whether it be a performance audit, a special examination, a retirement or actuarial certification, or those fiscal notes. So with me today is Christina Turner, our Deputy State Auditor, Lisa Kiefer, our Director of Performance Audits, Carol Schwinney, Director of Special Projects, and Matt Taylor. And Matt is a Deputy Director, and he oversees and manages our internal fiscal note process. So again, we just want to thank you all for the special recognition and honor as we celebrate this milestone. We look forward to the future with a commitment to uphold the legacy of the department and to build upon that, and to ensure that we remain a trusted partner with you for many years to come. So thank you very much for today's honor and invite. Thank you.
Nice to see y'all. Are there any unanimous consents? Does any senator wish to speak on a point of personal privilege? Recognize the senator from the 25th for a point of personal privilege.
Mr. President, it gives me great pleasure to recognize the Georgia High School Association Student Athlete Advisory Council. The GHSA is a voluntary organization composed of over 465 public and private high schools. The schools are divided in classification according to size so that schools will have an opportunity to compete for honors among schools of their own size. The GHSA sets standards for the registration, training, and evaluation of officials in all competitive activities. The Advisory Council is composed of 20 student athletes with a male and female representative from each class, and they're focused on improving sportsmanship in school, acknowledging coaches and players who set good examples. Members attend student leadership conferences and have dedicated numerous hours to better sportsmanship and player conduct. If y'all would please stand in the gallery, the GHSA, Student Advisory Council, and we'll give you a warm Senate welcome. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 44th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As senators, I rise today to congratulate and commend Ms. Peggy Wilson with the Mara Civic Women's Club, and we have other members here today with her. For the Mara Civic Women's Club, Ms. Lois Wolf. Lois, please raise your hand. Ms. Mary Harmon, and Ms. Julie Waters with the state organization. And our honoree today is Ms. Peggy Wilson. The General Federation of Women's Clubs, founded in 1890, is a federation of approximately 2,300 women's clubs in the United States, District of Columbia, and more than a dozen countries around the world that promote civic improvement through volunteer service, and is the oldest non-denominational, nonpartisan international service organization of volunteer women in the world. The GFWC honors one club woman from each GFWC region who was chosen by their individual club to compete at the state, region, and national levels with the Jenny Award for outstanding commitment to club, community, and family. The Mara Civic Women's Club selected Ms. Peggy Wilson, a member for 32 years, as their 2024 National Jenny Award nominee. Ms. Wilson was selected as the Georgia Jenny Award recipient in August 2023 and the Southern Region Jenny Award in October 23, and she will compete nationally during the 2024 annual convention in Chicago in July. Ms. Wilson is a retired teacher of 37 years with the Clayton County Public Schools, and she's a member of the Mara First Baptist Church. The Mara Civic Women's Club gave their first scholarship in 1965, and that scholarship recipient was my sister, Carolyn Davenport, who was the valedictorian of the only black high school in Clayton County. So we are certainly delighted with the Mara Civic League. They have done so much in our community, and we appreciate you. We know you're going to win when you go nationally in Chicago, but this Senate body wanted to say congratulations for your achievements so far, and thank you for all that you have done in the past for the children of Clayton County. Let's hear from Ms. Peggy Wilson. And joining me to the side would be the senator from the 34th for Clayton County and the senator from the 42nd will be joining us over there.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 32nd for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm here to just let everyone know what's going on with the previous senator from the 14th, Senator Bruce Thompson. I was able to visit with him in the hospital this weekend, and as you know, he's been diagnosed with a serious medical condition, and he's not shy about sharing it, so he's already waived his HIPAA rights by putting it all over social media. And so he is starting treatment today, and will be in the hospital for a couple more days and hopefully home after that. So I just am asking you all to please remember him in your prayers. Thank you. I yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Our thoughts and prayers are with our former colleague, Commissioner Thompson there. Recognize the senator from the 35th from the point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Oh. Well, Senator from the 10th and the Senator from the 33rd, who also is sponsoring this great moment, come up here right now. Senator from the 10th. Senator from the 10th. Touch him. Senator. And from the 33rd. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, thank you for allowing us to come here in our state capitol today. We gather here to celebrate International Diaspora Day for 2024. As many of you know, we have been celebrating this for many years now. It's a profound impact of the African diaspora on the global stage, with over 170 million people of African descent spread across the world. We represent a rich tapestry of cultures, traditions, and histories that intertwine with communities. I wanted one of them to hold it. I don't see him. Anyway, excuse me. it is impossible to overlook the legacy, painful legacy, of the transatlantic slave trade, which forcibly dispersed millions of Africans throughout the Americas. You hold that, please. The Caribbean and Latin America. We cannot ignore the long and arduous struggle for civil rights that many of our brothers and sisters have endured throughout history. But this is a great day here in the state of Georgia because we have many diplomats who have come from their countries into this Senate chamber, and we recognize them. Yet, even in the face of any adversity, our resilience is reflected in the vibrant tapestry of music, art, sports, and innovation. And you know that Africa has the greatest resources and the most precious resources in the whole world. So let us not forget that with influence comes great responsibility. So as members of the African diaspora, we have a duty to not only uplift our own communities, but also to contribute to the development and unity of our continent. We have harnessed our talents, resources, networks to build bridges and foster collaboration and create a brighter future for generations to come. And that's why we're celebrating today. And I am so honored that we have with us the Ambassador of Nigeria, Dr. Amina Smalia. We have, yes, you can clap. We have the Ambassador of Mozambique, and that's Ambassador Alfred Nuvanga. We have our India Consulate Representative, Miss Mimi Kumar. Yes. We have Dr. Olawati Sumaya and Bishop Sumaya. They're here. They're here. And she's my doctor, y'all, so if I don't walk next year when you see me, we have to go find her. And Keen Oba Shala Akavisnisi. The king, where's the king? He's up there, okay. And also Princess Betty Hody, our real princess here. We have Victor Adenia Chopade. I'm messing up these names, I'm sorry. Amelia Okubi and Queen Ozebo. And the list goes on. We have many of the people who have come to Diaspora Day. Please stand in the gallery. And we have at least 50 or more on the house side as we speak. And we have a resolution, a couple of resolutions, but I'll just mention the one for today, as well as one for Dr. Amina Amara Smalia. Where are you? There you are. You can stand right here. This is our ambassador, everyone. Isn't she beautiful? This Senate had the honor of finding out all about you and all the great things you've done. And as a result, we passed a resolution in your honor. I know that you have, it's Senate Resolution 733, and I know that you've had a few years here in the state of Georgia where you've been the Consulate General, and you worked so hard with us and with trade and industry. So we honor you today, and I wish you didn't have to get reassigned, but I know the whole world needs you. So it's my honor and privilege to award you with this official resolution, as well as our Secretary of State, Brad Raffenberger, Secretary of State of the State of Georgia, do hereby proclaim Amina A. Samala, honorary Georgia citizen.
All right, all right.
Thank you. Everyone will get, and we take pictures down on the steps in about an hour.
All right, let's give them another round of applause here. Thank y'all for being here today. And Senator from the 33rd, you did such a wonderful job there, man. Good job, Senator. All right, thank you. All right, thank you, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 49th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know we've had some lengthy presentations, so I'll keep it short. This week starts out National Agriculture Appreciation Week, so be sure and thank the farmers for the food you eat and the clothes you wear. Also, just briefly, keep them in your prayers. We're going to experience some freezing temperatures in North Georgia tonight, and those peach farmers sure would appreciate your prayers for warm temperatures so we don't lose another crop this year. And then also, a personal point, my sister is here with me today, so y'all welcome Sharon Strickland to the Senate chamber. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield.
Recognize the Senator from the 41st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to make an announcement about my family and our growth. As many of you all know, this summer, my wife and I became the legal guardians of a little boy named Reese. It was a very sudden and unexpected journey in our life to take in a 2-year-old toddler who was full of energy and rambunctious. Well, we received a phone call a few months ago notifying us that Reese's biological mother is currently pregnant. And because of the conditions that she's in, she is not able to keep his biological brother. And so my wife and I will be receiving a newborn this April. It's assuming that, all the legal things work out, but we are anticipating receiving a new baby boy to our house this April.
Recognize the Pro Tem for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning again, colleagues. Today it is absolutely my pleasure to recognize Peach County Day here at the Capitol. And it is also Peach County's 100th birthday this year. I've got some dear friends I'll introduce in just a moment that are over on the wall. But 28,500 citizens call Peach County home, and a host a multitude of community events throughout the year, like Battle of Byron and the Georgia Peach Festival and the Festival of the Camellias. Just make Peach County a great place to be and live and call home. I have the pleasure of representing all of Peach County in the 18th District. Peach County is also home to Fort Valley State University, a great historically black college in our state and an absolute gem there for us in Middle Georgia. As you might expect from a trivia standpoint, or maybe you don't know, Peach County is the youngest of all of our counties, and it has one of the most successful AAA programs, known as a leader in the school bus manufacturing. That's right, home of Bluebird Bus Company, something we're very proud to have in Peach County and very proud to be in Georgia, with a great history of having been founded and being present in Peach County for so long, and also the home of national headquarters of the American Camellia Society. On the wall, some dear friends over there, Chairman Martin Mosley, who serves as chair of the County Commission, Commissioner Roy Lewis, Commissioner Wade Yoder, excuse me, I've got my names backed up there, Wade, forgive me, Commissioner Shanita Howell, County Administrator April Hodges, my good friend and law partner James Banner is over there, who now serves as a fairly recently appointment to the county attorney position and doing a great job for Peach County. Also, a very special guest that's over there with the badge. You know, we do a lot to recognize our law enforcement in this chamber because we love and respect them so much, but we don't ever do enough. But we've got one of the special ones here from Middle Georgia. Sheriff Terry Deese is retiring after serving as sheriff of Peach County for over 20 years, and he has been in law enforcement, y'all, for 41 years, all of which has been in Peach County. Colleagues, please give Sheriff Deese a big round of applause for his distinguished public service in law enforcement in Georgia and Peach County. In closing, it's my honor to recognize Peach County Day and focus on the great people that serve as leaders for Peach County. And it is a special honor for me to get to represent the county, and so thank you for giving us a chance to introduce some great folks from back home. If you see them in the Capitol today, please make them feel welcome. Thank you, folks. Mr. President, I yield the well. And I have a resolution that I'll present to you guys over here. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator, and always good to have our friends from Peach County here today, so great to have y'all. Good to see you, Sheriff, so always a pleasure. I recognize the senator from the 48th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I get a unique opportunity today to introduce a friend, a mayor, a lobbyist, and the first time he has been on the Senate floor in nearly 2 decades. We are here to honor the mayor, dear friend, and a couple of great city council members from the city of Sugar Hill, which is celebrating its 85th birthday. If y'all would please join me in congratulating the city of Sugar Hill on turning 85 years old. Couple of fun facts about the city of Sugar Hill. It was an agriculture-based community called Oarsville in the 1830s, right there bordering along the Chattahoochee River. It became known for gold mining and illegal moonshine. So, Senator from the 8th, I believe that you'll take great interest in that. It is now the 4th largest city out of 16 in Gwinnett, with a population of nearly 28,000 people. And it's first community below Buford Dam, just south of Lake Lanier. It's a great place to live, work, play, and pray. And we just are so thankful for all that they do for our county, for Gwinnett County. And please join me in, again, thanking them for all that they do. Senator, Mr. President, I yield the well.
Bringing a senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, I want to take a second and honor someone we lost late on Friday down in Henry County. Longtime mayor of Locust Grove, Robert Price, passed away late on Friday from a sudden illness. He served on the city council for Locust Grove from 2007 to 2011, became mayor in 2012. If you want to know how popular he was as a mayor, know this: every time he ran for re-election, including last year, he ran unopposed. Nobody even ran against him. And he was a great friend for me and my family, also a great advocate for the city of Locust Grove and Henry County as a whole, someone that came up here to Atlanta and got stuff done for them. I can't imagine our community not having Robert Price in it. I ask that you'll please join me in a moment of silence as we think about and honor and pray for his family and friends during this very difficult time.
Senator has asked for a moment of silence. If we could secure the door, and let's stand in attention for a moment of silence, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Robert was a good man. He was one of my favorites from down in Locust Grove. It'd be a big loss for the city of Locust Grove. So thank you for bringing that to our attention today, Senator. Recognize the Senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to bring attention to a bill that we passed last year that is necessary to bring transparency and clarity to licensing in the state of Georgia. To underscore its importance, I've got a story about a citizen of Georgia named Candace. Candace is ready to apply for her funeral director license and has a record of conviction. She went on her own to review the board's website to understand how to handle her record when submitting her application. She couldn't find any information about how to disclose or explain her record, how to obtain required documents from the court, or even how her record would be considered. This lack of clarity caused Candace delay. Delay means more time and financial hardship, and more time when our communities and businesses suffer from a diminished workforce. Candace was ultimately able to obtain assistance from a local legal group to explain what she needed to do to complete her application. But this delay could have been avoided with some simple transparency. Many are less lucky and experience further frustrating delays and even denial. Many licensing applicants are denied because they misunderstand what to disclose or how to explain their record. Senate Bill 157 would bring transparency and clarity to the process so that Georgians know exactly what to disclose and how to disclose it. I commend our Judiciary Chairman, the Senator from the 17th, for sponsoring this bill, and our Lieutenant Governor for making this a priority. We passed Senate Bill 157 last year, and I rise to encourage each of you to speak with your colleagues in the House to encourage them to do the same. With that, Mr. President, I'll yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak on a point of personal privilege? Recognize Senator from the, come on, Senator, we want you to talk. We got a little time to kill. Come on, Senator. You have before you a consent calendar of privileged resolutions. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Is there objection to the adoption of a resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none. The resolution on the consent calendars are adopted. Recognize the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that HB 206 be withdrawn from the general calendar and be committed to the Committee on Rules.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 206, a bill by Representative Saines of the 180th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 36 of the OCGA relating to local government, so as to provide for the creation of commercial property assessed conservation, energy, and resiliency development authorities in certain counties and municipalities and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none. Senator, they will be moved to rules calendar. Do you know the rules, Chairman, by chance? Recognize the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent for House Bill 409 to be withdrawn from the Committee on State and Local Government and committed to the Committee on Education and Youth.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 409 by Representative Daniel of the 117th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 80 of Title 36 of the OCGA relating to general provisions applicable to counties, municipal corporations, and other governmental entities so as to authorize counties, municipalities, and local authorities that operate water and sewer systems to dispose of or acquire certain easements on real property and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none. Senator, you getting that put in your committee? Think you'll be able to get it out of your committee, Senator? Recognize the senator from the 56.
Mr. President, I'd ask unanimous consent that House Bill 348 be withdrawn from the Committee on Rules and be committed to the Committee on Public Safety.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 348 by Representative Collins of the 71st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 14 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to use of speed detection devices and red light cameras so as to provide for standards for signs warning of the use of automated traffic enforcement safety devices, to revise a definition, to provide standards for warning signs, to provide for times when a school zone speed limit may be enforced, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none. Recognize the senator from the 17th. For a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that House Bill 298 be withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and recommitted to the Committee on Education and Youth. Hopefully there, the chairman will do something with it.
Excuse me, Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 298 by Representative Daniel of the 117th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 12 of Title 15 of the OCGA relating to general provisions regarding juries, so as to provide for an exemption or deferment from jury service for natural or adoptive parents of children under 6 months of age and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none, Senator, you will head to Children and Youth. Senator from the 31st.
Good morning, Mr. President. I move that H.R. 1133 be recommitted from the Committee on Health and Human Services to the Committee on Judiciary.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Resolution 1133 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th, a resolution urging the United States Congress to pass the Kidney Patient Access to Technologically Innovative and Essential Nephrology Treatments Act of 2023, or the Kidney Patient Act of 2023, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection? Hearing none, it's been moved. You have before you a consent calendar of local bills. Secretary, is there objection? Any objections have been filed for any of the local bills on the consent calendar?
Mr. President, an objection has been filed by Senator Walker and others to House Bill 1412.
All right, 1412 been removed from the consent calendar. We'll take it up at another time. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the Committee on State and Local Governmental Operations, which is favorable to the passage of the bills on the local consent calendar? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Questions on the passage of the bill on the local consent calendar? All those in favor vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage, the yeas are 54, the nays are 0. This bill on the local consent calendar, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Senator from the 41st, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I move the Senate immediately transmit SB 577 to the House.
What is that? Is there objection? That objection is immediately transferred. All right, we're moving on to a local contested calendar. There was objection. Secretary will read the caption.
House Bill 1412, a bill by Representative Blackman of the 146 and others, a bill to be the town act to create the Warner Robins Convention and Visitors Bureau Authority, to provide for short title, to provide for members of the authority, to provide for officers, to provide for personnel, to provide for meetings and a quorum, to provide for duties, to provide for powers, to provide for authority, property, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the Senator from the 20th.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 1412 be recommitted to the Committee on State and Local Government Operations.
Is there objection? Without objection, is recommitted. You want to let Kennedy?
All right, moving on to the rules calendar. First bill, HB 441. Mr. Secretary, please read the bill.
House Bill 441, a bill by Representative Dempsey of the 13th and others, a bill to be town act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to dentists, dental hygienists, and dental assistants so as to authorize and regulate teledentistry in the state by licensed dentists pursuant to permits issued by the Georgia Board of Dentistry and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Regulated Industries and Utilities recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Cowser of the 46th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the senator from the 48th to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. HB 441 is the teledentistry bill. This has been worked on for the past several years by the Dental Association. And what this does is it solidifies the ability for dental hygienists, not assistants, to be able to go into the home, generally assisted living facilities and Title I schools, to be able to do teeth cleanings and simple x-rays under the supervision of a licensed dentist. HB 441 authorizes and regulates the practice of teledentistry only by Georgia licensed oral health care team members via the Georgia Board of Dentistry to ensure that patient safety remains the top priority while maintaining a continuous standard of care and sustaining the Georgia licensed dentist as the leader of the oral health care team. The bill allows hygienists to do x-rays outside of the private office setting under general supervision, creates real-time diagnosis from Georgia licensed dentists for continued treatment. It preserves current distance limitations within the general supervision code, requires teledentistry only be performed by qualified members of the oral health care team, and it requires that the patient and dentist both be physically located in Georgia with the dentist verifying the patient's location, identity, and obtaining consent from the patient. Happy to take any questions.
Senator, you have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well. Ask your favorable consideration.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Okay. Chair recognizes the senator from the 29th.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to be excused from voting on HB 441 pursuant to Senate Rule 5-1.8D.
The senator is excused without objection. Chair recognizes the senator from the 25th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the senator from the 24th be excused for business in the Capitol.
Senator from the 24th is excused without objection. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Are there any other preliminary motions we need to deal with? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. Thank you. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on to HB 502. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 502, a bill by Representative Silcox of the 53rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 34 of Title 43 of the OCGA relating to Georgia Cosmetic Laser Services Act, so as to revise the definition, to revise a provision relating to requirements for applicants for assistant laser practitioner licenses, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd to speak to HB 502.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 502 has to do with the cosmetic laser procedures. And those are the procedures that do not penetrate the epidermis, which is the top layer of the skin, for those of you who aren't medical. And it updates the code to include cosmetic procedures that did not exist 20 years ago. And I haven't heard any opposition. It has the full support of the dermatologist, the medical board, and the medical spas. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Senator, you have no questions.
Thank you. I yield.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to the agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on to HB 827. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption to HB 827.
House Bill 827, a bill by Representative Smith of the 18th and others, a bill to be an act to amend Code Section 16820 of the OCGA relating to livestock theft so as to provide for increased penalties and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 827, a bill to be an act to amend Title II of the OCGA relating to agriculture so as to authorize the Department of Agriculture to enforce certain criminal laws, to amend Article 2 of Chapter 7 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to criminal trespass and damage to property, so as to provide for the offense of criminal trespass involving a wild animal and for other purposes. Additionally, Senator McLaurin of the 14th and others offer the following Amendment 1 to amend House Bill 827 by inserting after line 85, E, it shall be an affirmative defense to liability under this code section that the defendant intended to cause serious bodily harm or death to himself or herself, and renumbering accordingly. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 8th with a distinguished page with him today.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I have my son, Alec, who is paging with us today. Alec, wave at everybody. He lifts weights about 2 hours a day. He's the only Goodman that's ever had muscles, so we're proud of him. But it's colleagues, today I bring in front of you House Bill 827. This bill provides enhanced penalties for theft of livestock in the state of Georgia. These enhanced penalties will help producers of livestock and animal products from theft of their very livelihood. Section 1 elevates the minimum penalty for theft of livestock from 1 year to 2 years, elevates the maximum penalty from 10 years to 15 years, and elevates the maximum fine from $1,000 to $10,000. Section 1 also elevates the penalty for theft of livestock valued at less than $100 from a misdemeanor to a misdemeanor of high and aggravated nature. Additionally, this bill will extend the police powers of the Department of Agriculture found in OCAG 2-2-13 to enforcement of provisions and Title 16 matters within the jurisdiction of the department, allowing post-certified investigators employed by the Department of Agriculture to investigate and enforce crimes and offenses, including theft of livestock, as well as agricultural and environmental regulation. This bill also provides for penalties for those who commit the offense of trespass, specifically for our zoos. These incidents most times result in an animal attacking these trespassers and the animal having to be put down. These animals cost thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to obtain, and unfortunately, when these trespasses occur, to replace. Mr. President, I'd be glad to yield for questions. If there's not any, I will yield the will.
Senator, you have a few questions. The chair recognizes the senator from the 46th for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
I'd be glad to my good friend from Athens.
So my concern is, are we broadening the jurisdictional powers of the Department of Agriculture to include all of Title 16, which is the entire criminal code? You referenced that it says matters within the jurisdiction of the commissioner as provided by this title, which is the agricultural title, and then it lists titles for animals, commerce and trade, food and drugs, professions and businesses. How do we determine what are the matters within the jurisdiction of the commissioner if you're including that entire, really it's a book. I got, every law in this book.
So it's in Title II, but it's actually already in code, and I'll read it to you verbatim. The commissioner shall be vested with police powers to enforce those laws governing matters within the jurisdiction of the commissioner or the department, as provided by the title and titles of 410, 26, and 43. And it says again, the commissioner shall be authorized to employ, designate, and deputize investigators and to delegate to such employees of the department the necessary authority to enforce those laws governing matters within the jurisdiction of the commissioner or the department, and those are found in Title II.
Thank you. Will the senator further yield?
I'd be glad to my friend from Athens.
So that's my question. What is the definition of matters within the jurisdiction of the commissioner or the department? I mean, what is that? Agriculture is the largest industry in the state, is it?
Yes, sir.
I would like to know what the boundaries are.
So I would think that, seeing as we're talking about the Department of Agriculture, it would be issues that are in Title II that the Department of Agriculture already has oversight of. So hence, for a perfect example, recently in my district, there was a koi farm, or supposed to be a koi fish farm. Well, the Department of Agriculture was involved in an investigation, and what was supposed to be a koi fish farm ended up being an illegal marijuana growing facility that had a street value of $22 million worth of marijuana there. That was actually happening in my district. So it would be in instances like that where you have something that clearly the Department of Agriculture would have purveyance over. I believe that's what matters of the Department of Agriculture means.
Will you further yield then? So are you saying the Department of Agriculture now has police powers over any drug offenses or possession of illegal drugs?
No, sir, that's not what I'm saying at all. And to be clear, Senator, if you look, what we're trying to do here with this law is we're giving the Department of Agriculture the same authority that every state agency has that has a law enforcement division, whether it's the Georgia World Congress Center, the Georgia Ports Authority, the Department of Insurance, or the Department of Revenue. It's just parity with what all the other agencies in the state of Georgia already have. But it is, the Department of Agriculture, their law enforcement officers do have to be post-certified. And so the ambiguity that exists a little bit in current law, if someone comes in there, so I don't think anybody in the General Assembly would want to say if they went into that, when they were investigating that koi fish farm, but they also found in the process of trying to do the investigation, they found out that there was a human trafficking ring. You wouldn't want those post-certified officers to violate their oath of office by not at least detaining those individuals that are involved in that crime.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator, do you have more questions?
Okay, be glad to.
Senator, this is a little odd, but the senator from the 8th's light is illuminated, and I'm wondering if maybe the page feels like the senator in the well needs a little help. I'm not sure. No, he waves off. All right, senator waves off. Chair recognizes the senator from the 31st.
Senator, will you yield?
I do, to my great friend from Dallas.
Can you tell us the definition of what is ambiguity? What is that?
Ambiguity?
There you go.
Yeah, that means, in South Georgia speak, that means we ain't sure.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield?
I do, to my great friend, the Rules Chairman.
Senator, going back to a previous question, is it not true that the Department of Ag already has the ability and the authority to issue traffic citations?
Traffic citations? Yes, that
Speeding
is true.
tickets?
Yes.
And if you'll further yield, is it also not true that should the department pull over a vehicle for speeding and they happen to have a stolen calf in a trailer, they could not do anything with that calf? They would not have the authority to do anything with a stolen calf or issue an arrest in that case. And is it not true this bill is to help rectify that?
Absolutely. You are correct, my friend.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the chairman yield?
I'm proud to yield to my good friend, the Public Safety Chairman.
Well, Chairman, would you actually yield for a series of questions? We can go through these pretty quick.
Let me put my glasses on.
All right. Isn't it true that agriculture is our largest and most important industry in the state of Georgia?
The senator knows of what he speaks.
Isn't it further true that it is one of the most precious and critical things that we all need to maintain our livelihoods?
The senator is speaking directly to my heart.
Isn't it true that everyone who we're talking about did mandate school, they're post-certified police officers who would have this authority?
Yes.
Isn't it true that the Secretary of State's office, the Attorney General's office, the Department of Insurance, the Department of Revenue, the World Congress Authority, the Georgia Public Safety Training Center, the Post Council, and the Ports Authority all have the exact same ability today?
The senator knows of what he speaks. Yes, sir.
Thank you for bringing this great bill.
Thank you. Well, y'all, I think I've taken enough questions, but I will yield, Mr. President, if I need to. I mean, do we have more questions, Mr. President?
No more, Senator. You have answered all the questions and done
Good
so
deal.
well.
I know
well, wait a minute. You've got a late arriving question. The majority leader wishes to ask a question. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from Dahlonega.
Thank you, Mr. President. You take a question, Mr. Senator?
I would love to take. Do you want the, Mr. Leader, do you want this Senator Goodman or that Senator Goodman?
He probably knows the answer to my question, but we're going to ask you since you're the senator presenting the bill. There was some language in the whip report earlier today talking about cow tipping, and I was wondering if you could discuss that, but also I'm concerned that you're trying to prohibit snipe hunting in Georgia. Can you relate your bill to how this will affect snipe hunting?
Senator wouldn't have it. Of course, I would never, I know nothing, of course, in my past of any cow tipping, so I couldn't speak to that, although I do know about snipe hunting. And, down in South Georgia in Jeff Davis County, we got Snipesville. That's a little community down there, and that is the capital of all snipe hunting in the state of Georgia. So, bill wouldn't affect snipe hunting. No changes.
You have no further questions.
There's an amendment that I'd ask you to vote no on. I don't think it's necessary, but also our friends, the aquarium and the Atlanta Zoo and other places are afraid that it would create a standard of defense that's not necessary for folks that are jumping in cages and that type of deal. So I'd ask you to vote no on that amendment, and I would ask your favorable consideration for the bill. And with that, Mr. President, I'll yield the will.
The senator has yielded the well. You should have on your desk amendment number 1. Amendment number 1 to this. And Senator, would you like to be recognized? The chair recognizes the senator from the 14th to speak to his amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and with great respect to the Senator from the 8th and the purposes, both purposes in the bill, both of which I can get behind, I just rise today to offer what I think is an important amendment at the intersection of mental health and criminal law. And with great respect to the Atlanta Zoo, a place a lot of people think I belong, and don't want to badmouth a place where I may end up living at some point in the future. What you've got is the Section 2 of the bill is a new set of crimes. If you jump into an enclosure where there's a wild animal, that's a misdemeanor. If you harass the animal and it suffers any injury of any kind, that's a felony. In principle, I can get behind that. What we know, however, and this is from documented cases worldwide, is that some people use this type of behavior as a way to attempt suicide. And with the level of mental health crisis and the attention that this building has paid to it in the state and the country generally, what I'm offering is an affirmative defense that would just be for somebody who can prove at trial that they intended to kill themselves or cause serious bodily injury to themselves. Now, I want to explain how high of a bar that is and why our friends in the hallway have concerns that I don't think are merited in this case. What we're talking about is a situation where somebody's suicidal, they jump in an enclosure, they're very likely to be injured while they're in the enclosure, and then under this bill, even with my amendment, they still get charged with a crime. So the prosecutor then has complete discretion in a normal criminal process. If they want to refer that person to mental health services, use the criminal charge as a hook for diversion, they can do that. Then the person's got to go through the whole criminal process and finally wind up at the trial. And at the trial, they will present their case where the defendant has the burden to prove that they are entitled to a defense in this case because they can prove that they intended to kill themselves or cause serious bodily harm. I can tell you with certainty, having worked with a handful of prosecutors, no prosecutor is going to just dismiss a case or let somebody off because somebody claims that they were suicidal. There's going to have to be evidence. You have to go to a doctor, you have to get evaluated, you have to have story probably from family and friends about this person's condition, and you've got to prove that at trial. So already, somebody in these circumstances is going through a lot of crap, a no good, very bad day. All the amendment would do is express the public policy of the state of Georgia that in our shift towards a more mental health friendly focus, that we recognize that in these very narrow cases, that an additional felony or misdemeanor conviction would not serve the interests of justice, make that person safer, make any of us safer. I reject the idea that this would create some sort of a suicide zone where people go to the zoo because they know they won't get charged. If you're trying to kill yourself, the last thing on your mind is whether you're getting probation, okay? So I'm thankful to my colleagues from across the aisle, a couple of which who have already signed on to the amendment, and any other favorable support is out there. But I just think that this is not, suicide by cop or a really dramatic set of criminal justice circumstances where we have to really worry about the effect this would have. I think that this is a great opportunity, really, for people in this body to express a commitment to a very self-aware mental health policy. And I would submit to you that, and you could talk to the prosecutors, they can already charge this trespass. They just want a more specific criminal charge to catch trespasses in these circumstances. Senators, I would submit to you that's exactly what this defense is on the other side. You maybe could claim insanity, which is a very high bar, but this is just a way of making clear that this body's committed to the most fair, efficient, and just responses to mental health crisis in the state of Georgia. I would yield for any questions.
You have a few questions, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yill.
Always to my best friend from the 29th.
Thank you. Senator, is it not true that we already have mental health accountability courts throughout the state of Georgia that could address the individual's mental health and mental condition at the time of their action when they may be charged with criminal trespass?
You're not going to be wrong to say that I am rejecting the idea that relying on prosecutorial discretion completely is okay. I think that there should be at least a little teeth in the law to where somebody with a legitimate case for mental health crisis can say to the prosecutor, look, I've got all this evidence, it's all corroborated, I don't think I should go through the whole process, and that should inform the diversionary choice. But you're exactly right that prosecutors can use their discretion to divert somebody to a mental health resource if necessary, and this amendment protects the ability to do that.
Does Senator further yield?
I do.
But without the amendment, they can go ahead and do that. Is that correct?
They could, but it would be completely at the prosecutor's discretion, and there's a chance, and again, when we legislate in here, we do it for the whole state, right? You might know your prosecutor and trust your prosecutor on this, but what you don't know is if a prosecutor in a county that you have not spent a lot of time in might decide that no matter what the mental health crisis involved, I want to take this case all the way to conviction. It's important for us to draw lines as this body to say, in some circumstances, we don't think the liability should apply.
Thank you, Senator. And
Absolutely.
I'm a little surprised you don't trust all prosecutors.
That's a strong way of putting it.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 17th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
To the esteemed Judiciary Chairman who knowledgeably presided over the passage of this bill out of committee, yes.
Esteemed. Not to belabor the point, but as you mentioned, isn't it true that prosecutors can already use their discretion to take someone that's been charged with a crime, make sure they're actually getting the help they need through the criminal justice system?
That's right. And we've had a lot of conversations about prosecutorial discretion in general this year. Not everybody trusts it all the time, and that's the spirit of this amendment.
Do you further yield?
I do.
Isn't it also true that the language you have here, is there anywhere else in the code where we have such a defense built into crimes?
No, and I'm glad you asked that. So I'm asking you to do something new, and I don't want to hide from that. If you're looking for other parts of the code that have exactly this type of a defense in there, you won't find it. But I think that it is 2024. This is the smallest possible bite you could imagine for this type of defense. And I think that it is good work for this body to start responding to these criminal law bills in even just a slightly different way, where we build into them an awareness of the mental health challenges so many people face, and we think critically about how to make our code fair so that people already up to here with their mental health challenges don't have to go through even an additional layer that doesn't do a whole lot to help anybody. Thank you, Chairman. With that, I ask for your favorable consideration on Amendment 1, and I will
You
yield
do
the
have
roll.
one more question, Senator, if you wish to take it.
At the pro tem suggestion, I will.
Sure. Chair recognizes the senator from the 2nd.
To my good friend, the senator from the 14th, do you yield?
All the way from I-16, Senator from the 2nd, I absolutely yield.
And that's where I'm coming from with this question, Senator. Senator, is it not true that this body, through the purpose of the majority, passed legislation to establish a commission to hold prosecutors accountable? And I heard terms like they're rogue prosecutors. So, Senator, would it not be further true that this measure would be needed to codify in statute what we're talking about, since prosecutors can't be trusted to do the jobs that they're doing? That's why we have a commission?
The senator from the 2nd has made much more emphatically a point that I tried as gently as possible to make a couple minutes ago. What I would say is, again, you've got on the prosecution side of this, we pass a handful of bills every year that prosecutors don't really need, but just tightens up what they can use. That's all this is on the defense side, and it's the only time we'll do it this year. It is a defense that more precisely captures the mental health crisis somebody might be in, and it's only available if they prove it at trial. Thanks so much. I appreciate your consideration. I'll yield the well.
The senator has yielded the well. Senator from the 8th, would you like to close debate? Chair recognizes the senator from the 8th to close the debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just asked for your favorable consideration. I'd also like to refer on line 75 of the bill, where it says the person knows he or she, it says the person knows. It doesn't say the person knows or should have known that they should be in there. So there is a higher hill to climb, if you should say so, I guess, for my non-lawyer speak. But I would ask that you please vote favorably for this bill, and please vote no on the amendment.
Senator, you do have one question, if you wish to take it. Chair
I'd be glad to
recognizes
yield.
the distinguished senator from Habersham, the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does the senator yield?
I'm proud to yield to my friend from Habersham.
The questions earlier about this expanding the commissioner's power to the entire criminal code, isn't it true that there are already, in the current law, code sections that give him the power as long as he has jurisdiction in those titles?
Yes.
So, for example, in Title 10, weights and measures, that's why you see his name on the gas pump. Is that correct?
The senator knows of what he speaks.
But for symmetry and funeral services or deceptive, fraudulent, or abusive telemarketing activities, he has no control over those.
The senator knows of what he speaks.
Does the senator further yield?
Be glad to.
In Title 26, the commissioner has the jurisdiction for standards of labeling and adulteration of food. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But in Chapter 4, he does not have any authority or power over pharmacists and pharmacies or the Board of Pharmacy.
The senator knows of what he speaks.
And in Title 43, Chapter 50, he has jurisdiction over veterinarians and vet techs. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But does he have any authority or jurisdiction over snow skiing or real estate brokers?
It would be a fun sight to see my friend from Ocilla on a snow skiing, but I don't believe he does. No, sir.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And Mr. President, with that, I'll yield the will and I ask for your favorable consideration, and please vote against the amendment.
The senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the amendment number 1 by the senator from the 14th. Is there objection to the adoption of the amendment? There is an objection. All right, all those in favor of the adoption of amendment number 1 will rise, stand, and be counted. Senators ask for a roll call. What's that? 5 members having agreed, a roll call is in order. All those in favor of amendment number 1 will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. You're voting on amendment number 1 to HB 827. On the adoption of amendment number 1, the yeas are 24, the nays are 30, and this amendment is lost. Now the question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none, and the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 2, and this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. All right, moving on down the rules calendar, HB 873. HB 873. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 873, a bill by Representative Gunter of the 8th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the OCGA relating to courts, so as to create juvenile treatment court divisions, to provide alternative adjudication to the traditional judicial system, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the senator from the 50th to speak to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a good bill that will help our juvenile court system in the state. What it does, it creates juvenile treatment court divisions to provide an alternative to traditional judicial system for certain cases. It will also provide that the Council of Accountability Court judges would be over the new divisions. This passed unanimously out of the House and would ask for your favorable consideration today. If there are no questions, I'll yield the will.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. And Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0. So this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on down the rules calendar, HB 991. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 991, a bill by Representative Blackman of the 146 and others. A bill to be entitled tonight to amend Article 6C of Chapter 8 of Title 31 of the OCGA relating to the Hospital Medicaid Financing Program so as to extend the sunset provision, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 52nd to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is really simple. It extends the sunset from 2025 to 2030 for the Medicaid financing dollars we draw down from the hospitals to match the federal dollars that come in for Medicaid. So there is only one word change in this bill. 2025 is replaced with 2030. If there's no questions, I'll yield the will.
Senator, you have no questions. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, let's move on to HB 997. Please read the caption.
House Bill 997, a bill by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others. A bill to be signed and act to amend Code Section 45-151 of the OCGA relating to disqualification from driving and action required after suspending, revoking, or canceling license or non-resident privileges, so as to require disqualification to operate a commercial motor vehicle upon receipt of notification from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration of a positive drug test and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Public Safety recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Alvarez of the 56th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 56th to speak to HB 997.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple department bill. House Bill 997 aligns us with using the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration when someone loses their ability due to a drug test or something else. They are the qualified group that they would lose their license. They are also the same group that they could then reacquire their license when they have made amends and cleared up any problem that they had had. That's the bill in its entirety. If there are no questions, I will yield the will.
Senator, you have no questions.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 53rd.
That's right. You might have to vote no. Thank you, Mr. President. There is a little bit more to this bill. I know a thing or two about having rights and privileges revoked without due process, and that's what this bill intends to do for our commercial motor carrier drivers, hardworking Georgians. You see, if they're out there with their CDLs and they're doing drugs, you darn right better believe they ought to be off the highways, their license suspended. I have no problem with that, Mr. President. But what I do have a problem with is when we refer to this code section and there is a litany of charges that one can have their license suspended for. Under this, if a truck just behind us on the interstate gets into a fender bender, okay, they're going to have their license suspended for 6 months. Now, I believe in discretion, just as the senator from the 14th does. And we already have laws in place. When a police officer pulls the person over, writes them a ticket for that following too closely in a fender bender, the judge gets to decide the driver wasn't acting in bad faith, he shouldn't have his license suspended. I would urge my colleagues to vote no on this. This bill needs a lot more crafting to be narrowed down to what the caption says, which is a positive drug test. This bill goes far beyond that by referencing 49, 382, 384, and 383, Mr. President. I'd yield for any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against this measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 45 and the nays are 6. So this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 41st. For what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 22nd.
Without objection, the senator from the 22nd is excused. Moving on to HB 1028. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
House Bill 1028, a bill by Representative LaHood of the 175th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the OCGA relating to education so as to repeal the requirement of screening of public school children for scoliosis, to amend Title 31 of the OCGA relating to health so as to revise the state health officer's authorization to issue standing orders, to repeal provisions relating to the Georgia Diabetes Control Grant Program, to revise the definition, to repeal provisions relating to a pilot program for pre-exposure prophylaxis, drug assistant, and/or services, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Health and Human Services recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Watson of the 1st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from Savannah from the 1st to speak to HB 1028.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring you House Bill 1028. First of all, it doesn't do anything about scoliosis, but secondly is that Section 1 has to do with sexual assault centers allowing Kathleen Toomey to prescribe post-exposure prophylaxis. In other words, if there's a risk of HIV infection after a sexual assault, she would be able to give standing orders so that that could be done in a very timely fashion, because that has to happen immediately. The other sections are somewhat cleanup aspects relating to that. The Georgia Diabetes Control Grant Program was actually never started. That was in 2010. We do make some changes in the definition of sexually transmitted diseases. We add chlamydia to that, and that's in 2 sections of the law, of the bill, I should say. The pre-pilot program for the PrEP is repealed because the regular process has been adopted by the department. Controlling of mass gatherings, imagine that. This was put in as a response to Woodstock, so that's how long probably many of the people who may be hearing this do not even remember or were around when Woodstock was there. But the Department of Public Health has never issued a permit for mass gatherings like this. There are certainly other agencies that have that. And in fact, the senator from the 2nd and I did a bill relating to gatherings and permits and things like that. Is actually is on the governor's desk right now. You may remember that from the earlier section, so that is actually still
regulated, but certainly not by the Department of Public Health. And then lastly, this should have been changed in 1990 when the Attorney General ruled that Department of Public Health was not regulating all of jails or prisons in the state of Georgia, but just the food portion related to that. And that should have been changed then, but we're changing it now in 2024. So other areas do inspections and handle that, other agencies I should say, but the Department of Public Health only handles food. And with that, Mr. President, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have a question, Senator. The chair recognizes the senator from the 26th from Macon.
Gentleman yield.
Be happy to yield to the gentleman from Macon.
The topic says education repeal requirement of screening of public school children for sclerosis. Is that what this bill does?
No, I did start out by saying that. Listen, I was talking fast, and that was my first sentence relating to this. Has nothing to do with scoliosis.
All right, so in other words, what the topic has nothing to do with repealing for school children.
It does not relate to, there will be no changes when it comes to scoliosis screening in the state of Georgia. They'll still continue to be screened. And as a matter of fact, there is really good scientific medical literature to show that that screening is very beneficial, because if you catch that early, you can do bracing rather than waiting to do surgery. And that just sort of is common sense, but that has been shown in medical literature to show that. And there is also an opt-out already, that if parents are doing that at their pediatrician's office, or they just don't want to do that, then they can opt out now. Thank you for the question.
Senator, you have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for your favorable consideration.
The senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against this measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none to the previous question being ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay, and the secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 1. So this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption for HB 1033.
House Bill 1033, a bill by Representative Leverett of the 123rd and others. A bill to be on an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to crimes against the person, so as to provide for protections for utility workers, to provide for a definition, to provide for enhanced penalties for simple assault, aggravated assault, simple battery, and aggravated battery committed upon utility workers, and for other purposes. The Senate Committee on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. The Senate Committee on Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 1033, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the OCGA relating to crimes against the person, so as to provide for protections for utility workers and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the distinguished senator from Athens, the senator of the 46th District, to speak to HB 1033.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is a bill brought by the utility workers of wide varieties, everything from gas, power, cable services, anybody that's putting in different type of utilities to help keep our critical infrastructure up and running at all times. It simply increases the criminal penalties for assault or battery on a utilities worker while they're on the job. Increases from a misdemeanor to a high and aggravated misdemeanor on simple battery and assault, and makes it a felony if it's aggravated felony or assault, 3 to 20 years. Happy to take any questions. There is a letter of support from the Georgia Chamber of Commerce on your desk, as well as a listing of all the different utility workers that are seeking this protection so they can do their job to keep our lights on, gas on, power on, and infrastructure working. Happy to yield for questions, or I will yield the will.
Senator, you have a few questions.
All
Chair
right.
recognizes the distinguished senator from the 28th, our Rules Chair, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, do you yield?
I yield.
Senator, I appreciate you bringing this fine legislation forward. Is it not true, based on some legislation we passed earlier, would the Ag Department now be able to help out in the rest of these?
If that bill makes it through the rest of the process, absolutely. This will help them sort of change their focus, I guess, a little bit from animals and plants to utilities.
The chair recognizes the senator from the 29th for a question.
Does the senator yield?
I yield.
Senator, if this assault takes place after the aggressor climbs over into a, say, tiger pen in a wild animal park, would this legislation still make this assault a felony?
It would be high and aggravated if it's a misdemeanor, or if it's an aggravated assault or battery, it would be a felony.
Thank you, Senator.
You have no other questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the will.
The senator has yielded the well. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor or against this measure? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there an objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? The chair hears none. Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there an objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will now vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. And Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 2. So this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Moving on to the final bill on the rules calendar today. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption for HB 1041.
House Bill 1041, a bill by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others, A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 5755 of the OCGA relating to creation of Savannah, Georgia Convention Center Authority, membership and powers so as to increase the maximum amount of bonded indebtedness of the authority and for other purposes. The Committee of the Senate on Economic Development and Tourism recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Beach of the 21st District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes once again the distinguished senator from the 1st from Savannah to speak this time to HB 1041, our final bill on the rules calendar.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 1041 has to do with the Savannah Convention Center and its authority. This is a state-owned building, and it is state-owned land. It is governed by a state authority, and it is managed by a state authority, the Georgia World Congress Center. It does only two things. It raises the amount that can be bonded from $50 million to $400 million. And this, as you can see, what happened here at the Georgia World Congress Center with a 970-room hotel, this will allow for a 400-room hotel attached to the convention center in Savannah. The second thing it does is establishes a condemnation power for the Savannah Convention Center Authority, but it's important to note that this is only for public property, not for private property. Other state authorities like World Congress Center, Stone Mountain Authority already have this. And that does it, just those two only things. And Mr. President, I would ask for favorable consideration and answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. The senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against HB 1041? The chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none, and the report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? The chair hears none, and the main question is ordered. The question is now on the passage of the bill. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. All those opposed will vote nay. And Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and the nays are 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. All right, we've got a few other actions to deal with, folks, so stay with us, please. The chair recognizes the senator from the 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 50.
Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 50 by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to elementary and secondary education so as to provide that local boards of education which operate a school with grades 9 through 12 may provide instruction in lifeguarding and aquatic safety and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 50. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the OCGA relating to elementary and secondary education so as to provide that local boards of education which operate a school with grades 9 through 12 may provide instruction in lifeguarding and aquatic safety and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the senator from the 23rd to speak to his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you may recall last year we adopted Senate Bill 50, which allows but does not require local school systems to offer aquatic safety and lifeguard training. That bill stalled a bit in the House last session because of some timing. The House substitute simply updates the dates of the bill to more accurately reflect the time frame that the current bill is being passed under. I appreciate your favorable consideration. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak to the motion? The chair hears none. Mr. Secretary, we'll now move on the senator's motion to agree to the House substitute to SB 50. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea. All those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the motion, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0. So this motion, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 337.
The senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 337. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 337, a bill by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be a town and act to amend Code Section 38-111 of the OCGA relating to personal aides de camp, appointments, commissions, length of service, and duties so as to authorize the governor to appoint honorary Georgia colonels for life and further purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 337, a bill to be town and act to amend Code Section 38-111 of the OCGA relating to personal aides de camp, appointments, commissions, length of service, and duties so as to authorize the governor to appoint honorary Georgia colonels for life and further purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the senator from the 32nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 337 is a bill we passed earlier that updates the language in the program in our code that allows people to be honored for distinguished service to the state of Georgia. And it changes the terminology from lieutenant colonel or aide de camp to a Georgia colonel without reference to military service. It doesn't change the governor's authority to confer the appointment. What the House did is they added the ability for the General Assembly to honor their constituents or people deserving of the honor by a joint resolution. And I support the change. Be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? and it is that the senator from the 32nd has moved to agree to the House substitute to SB 337. Chair sees none. On the passage, Mr. Secretary, all those in favor of agreeing to the House substitute to Senate Bill 337 will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 49, the nays are 1. So this motion having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Chair recognizes the distinguished senator from the 24th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute for Senate Bill 352.
The senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 352. Mr. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Bill 352 by Senator Anderson of the 24th and others. A bill to entitle an act to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to general provisions relative to motor vehicle equipment and inspection, so as to provide for standards for the alteration and operation of motor vehicles with modified suspension systems and for other purposes. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 352. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of Title 40 of the OCGA relating to general provisions relative to motor vehicle equipment and inspection, so as to provide for standards for the alteration and operation of motor vehicles with modified suspension systems and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The chair recognizes the senator from the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring you the substitute for 352, Senate Bill 352, and the House had a similar bill, and we just basically put them together. And all it says on the House side is that they came up with a lift that you couldn't go over 27 inches high on the light trucks and 31 inches on the heavier trucks. I ask you for your favorable support. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The senator has yielded the will. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. On the motion of the senator from the 24th, who has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 352. All those in favor of that motion will vote yea. Those opposed will vote nay. Mr. Secretary, please unlock the machine. On the senator's motion that the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 352, the yeas are 47, the nays are 2. This motion, having received the requisite constitutional majority vote, is therefore passed. All right, that takes us to the end of our special actions and what we've got on today. Just a couple of announcements. Number one, if you haven't seen already, we have lunch in the anteroom for you. I think a lot of folks have already gotten lunch for the day. If not, grab lunch on your way out. Please check for committee meetings and our schedule for the afternoon so that we can make sure that our committees have a quorum. And with that, I will happily recognize our majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned pursuant to H.R. 978 until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, March 20th.
The Secretary will read the announcements.
The Rules Committee will meet upon adjournment in 4:50. The Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in 4:50. The Transportation Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in Mez 1. The Government Oversight Committee will meet at 3 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB. The Finance Committee will meet at 4 p.m. in Mez 1. The Science and Technology Committee will meet at 4 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB. The Judiciary Committee will meet at 5 p.m. in 307 of the CLOB. The Ethics Committee will meet at 6 p.m. in 310 of the CLOB. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The Majority Leader has moved that the Senate will stand adjourned until Wednesday. That's 2 days from now, Wednesday, March the 20th at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. No. All those opposed say no. I think the ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.